Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 8 instructional video. I'm starting to lose my voice, so hopefully it won't happen just yet. So I'm going to take us into D2L as usual, showing you where to go and what to do for this upcoming week, but I'm also going to take a few detours to some resources that I hope prove helpful. All right, let's go ahead and get to D2L. If we click on the content area per usual, we'll go to the week 8 module. We do have a reading this week by Melanie Gagich. It's entitled An Introduction to and Strategies for Multimodal Composing. And that is just a good way to kind of get us thinking more deeply about the multimedia project and the different ways that we can create and we can think and write and all this stuff. So I think that's a good kind of segue into really thinking about the project. I do want to note that the last day to drop courses, if you are in 16-week semesters, is going to be Monday the 14th. And like our class is a 12-week semester, and so our drop date is on the 18th this week. So if you're watching this video, chances are you've been participating and you're not one of the people that I've tried to get in touch with, reach out to. But if you maybe are coming back to us after a long absence, make sure that you've gotten in touch with me because I will be dropping students if there's just nothing I've heard from them, because my assumption is that there's just too much going on and you would rather be dropped and have a W rather than a failing grade at the end of the semester, which can really mess up your GPA, it can mess up your financial aid, all of that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're in touch with your professors. All right, you're watching the instructional video. Your multimedia project plan is due on Thursday, but I want to note that originally the portfolio was going to be due on this Sunday, but I can't in good conscience say that it's going to be due then, because I just haven't had as much opportunity to get the detailed feedback to you as I'd like. So I'm taking a little bit more time to complete the feedback and get that to you. It didn't seem fair to say, hey, I'll have the feedback to you this week, but then turn right around and revise it for a very, very large grade. So I'm delaying it a week. It'll be after we come back from Thanksgiving. But I want you to know that if you want to submit it early, if you get my feedback this week and you want to just get that portfolio off your plate because you know that you have a couple of other things and other classes coming up, that's fine too. But the ultimate due date has been pushed to allow a little extra time for you to revise, edit, meet with a tutor, get a fresh set of eyes on your work, whatever you think might be useful, because it is a really large grade, okay? And then you have a participation quiz on Sunday. So if you scroll down, you'll see, you're watching what will appear here. And here's Gagich's article. And then just to, refresh your memory for the multimedia plan, I want you to consider looking at the guidelines and rubric, okay? So if we go to this assignments link, you can review the project guidelines, and then you'll have a form to submit, which will look very familiar. It is my favorite template to utilize. And it's just asking for you to, I really want you to start thinking about and planning through this idea of your project, because sometimes we have these really amazing, great ideas, but once we start thinking about how long that will take or the feasibility of it, given all the other stuff we have going on, it just may not be fair to yourself. So this is pushing you to really start thinking about that kind of stuff. So the thing to know is, you want to answer everything completely. I put here that you should provide complete drafts of your 3 paragraphs, but I think it truly ends up only really working on 2. That last paragraph, which is really about how you've grown, what you learned about yourself, you haven't experienced that yet, so that's not something I'm going to require just yet. So the first question, what text, author, etc. from the course inspired your project and why? So if you chose Ron Finley's TED Talk, why? What about it? What spoke to you? What was the impact? Why is it important or insightful or interesting, right? So think about that. I put here, note your answers to this question below and the following will become the basis for your first paragraph. So really start thinking about that. So this is where you'll describe your project. So how will you address or analyze the text, idea, etc.? Are you going to use a video, PowerPoint, any of these things? I want you to imagine your colleagues are sitting at their computer and they're opening up your discussion post, which is how we will share the multimedia projects. And before they click on the link to your YouTube video, before they click on the document to open up, your PowerPoint, we need some context first, because they may open it and go, well, what am I even looking at, right? What does this even mean? This paragraph provides that. You'll share, I really wanted to use Ron Finley's video because, and I thought it would be really useful to bake a cake, because he made me think about this, that, or the other. I don't really consider myself a baker, but I wanted to try it. You're giving a good amount of context. These are complete paragraphs that give your colleagues a sense of what it is that they're looking at. This is almost like an abstract paragraph is in a lot of academic writing. Context. Abstract paragraphs like in your portfolio. All right. The next question still ties into that paragraph. How will you show effort? For example, if you wrote a poem, how will your audience know that you committed the time and energy? So are you showing drafts of the poem? How? Are you using PowerPoints? You have to show effort in some way. The only way that, or the only kind of project I can think of that doesn't really show effort is a video, because the video itself shows the editing, it shows, all the effort you put into it. The other thing may be if you're doing more of an informational PowerPoint, you don't need to show the process of that, because the process is clear in every single slide that you're sharing, right? And all the citations that you're utilizing for any outside information or images, that kind of thing. So if you wanted to bake that cake for Ron Finley, then you would just take pictures along the way. You have pictures of the ingredients, you have pictures of, or a quick video of you stirring the ingredients. You can do whatever you want, as long as we as your audience can understand that it took you time and effort, right? Because the finished product is important, yeah, but not all of us are bakers, not all of us are artists, not all of us are poets. So that finished product may not show the kind of effort you really put into it. So those images along the way, or the drafts, or however it is you're going to show, can be really helpful. All right, what is your general timeline? And this, I'm actually asking you to create a timeline. Like, how long is this going to take? What days are you going to do this, right? You have all these other things going on. You have your job schedule, you have your other classes, you have, this final paper in your art history class, or whatever it may be. When are you going to have time to dedicate to this? And I would say, whatever you have planned, I would kick it up by at least half an hour to an hour, because it always takes a little bit longer than I think we initially think about. But especially if you have to go to the store and buy ingredients for a cake, or go to Michael's to get something to craft. These are all things that are part of the effort. So you can take pictures of that as well. But I want you to say, on this day I plan to do this section. I'm going to take this much time to revise on this day. This is not necessarily for me. I mean, yes, I'm going to see it, right? I'm going to read your response and appreciate it. But this is also pushing you to really plan out, how long is this going to take? All right, this space is for your complete draft of the second paragraph, right? The second paragraph is essentially our research paragraph. This is where we are bringing in quotes. If we're doing a project related to Finley, we're bringing in quotes from Finley. We have a very, full and in-depth paragraph about what was it in Finley's talk that really spoke to me, what he says this, and it made such an impact, and it made me really think about this, that, or the other. We want to strive for more than a single quote, right? But not back-to-back quotes, not just a paragraph of quotes, thoughtfully chosen quotes that really help support your ideas. And the quotes need to be integrated into your paragraph, not just dropped in. This is just a reminder, right? So that draft goes right here with your in-text citations. Okay, so that's essentially what I'm looking for with your plan. It's urging you to perhaps not procrastinate. I'm not going to say all of you are procrastinators, but this is really, an effort to kind of get the ball rolling, not only for our ideas, but also to think about the time it takes. All right, so that is the project plan assignment. And I put a note here that the quiz will be available by noon on Monday. So just keep an eye out for that. I do want to take you to a few other places in D2L. The first is the MLA help section. This has information related to quoting. I use Troy's article as an example. So MLA is hard, right? MLA is frustratingly annoying. You don't have to be an MLA expert. I'm not an MLA expert. I've been doing this a long time. I know the things about, the way we use MLA in a class like this, but I don't know how you cite this very specific kind of document you find in, we just need to have the tools to help us, right? This is a place where you can find some of those tools. So we have, MLA and quoting examples with choice work. This is especially helpful for those of you who may be examining or thinking about sources, articles, book chapters, videos where they quote other people. So Choi's is a really good example because she is bringing in a lot of voices, right? She has a lot of quotes in her article that really help support her ideas. But how do you quote that Dan Barber says in this paragraph? Because it's Dan Barber's words, but it's in Choi's article. How is your audience supposed to know where this appears? How do you even cite that? There are some examples for you. Just give them a look. There's a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab website. It's a wonderful resource. Bookmark it, save it. They have a whole section on APA as well. Here's a PowerPoint from the Purdue L that really relates to the kinds of things we need to think about for MLA in our class. Here is the MLA video if you need a quick refresher, where I go through examples and information. This is a link to how to cite other sources like podcasts, TV, Netflix, because sometimes that comes up in the things that we're writing. Here is a citation for Choi's article and for Irvin's article. I'm just saying, if you happen to use those, then you have the citation, at least for your portfolio, that kind of thing. But they're just good examples to look at, like, how am I constructing a citation based on this kind of source, based on an article from, the internet, that kind of thing. The next place I'm going to go is to student success right here. We're always thinking about student success, right? This is always on our minds, but it's the time in the semester where it becomes even more intense because we are rolling towards the end of the semester, right? We have a holiday coming up, and once we get back from the holiday, things start moving so quickly. You start to see finals and exams, and some of you have a math exam the week before you then have final exams. So think about, how you want to finish strong. And so this is an area that I hope will help for that. There is a new area called bonus events and workshops. And this is because if you click on this area right here, there is an event coming up this week. I thought you might be interested in. Pause. Okay, sorry about that. If you click on events and workshops, it takes you to this area. There's a talk coming up this week that's virtual from 2 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday, entitled India, a Mosaic of Cultures and Contrasts. And I thought that would be really fun and a good break from some of your other classes or our class. But I knew it was something that not all of you could attend. So there are some asynchronous items where you can attend this virtual workshop and get some credit for it. So we have our wonderful academic advisor, Miss Casey Timmy, has a video on effective job search strategies, self-care, all of these different things that I've tried to put together so that not only do we have a live event, but also asynchronous that you can think about. So in order to receive a grade for that, you need to go to this section right here, and you'll complete an event reflection, which I know it will surprise you, looks very familiar when it pulls up. Yeah. So you want to complete this as thoroughly as possible, revise and edit it, and you would then upload it in the assignment area of D2L. Okay, so take some time to look at that when you have a moment. I also want you to note that there's something that I put here about writing strategies. And so this is just coming together because I've been reading y'all's written reflections, reading your written responses, and I'm saying some of the same things to a lot of you because you're being really hard on yourselves, or you're thinking about, grammar in this way, or this is a space for you to see some strategies, or to just kind of, if you need a little bit of a pep talk, there's pep talk built in here as well. So just take some time to look through it if you're feeling kind of crummy about your writing, which I hope none of you are, and none of you should, right? All right, so that's this week in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please reach out to me via email, but always think about posting in the D2L Q&A area so everybody can see it. Good luck this week.